My name is Jean-Luc Saman. I'm from France, a French background as well as a Syrian background through my father. I've been working on the Middle East for the past 15 years. 2005, Israel decides to seize its occupation of Gaza. Before that, the Israeli military was occupying Gaza. The government of Ariel Sharon in Israel decides to leave Gaza, leaves the Palestinians on their own to decide what they want to do with Gaza. And at that time, they did not anticipate that Hamas would be in power. A year after the withdrawal of Israel forces from Gaza, you have the election of Hamas. And as a result, the Israelis consider that they don't want to go back to Gaza. They cannot get rid of Hamas. They decide that the only way they can address the threat of Hamas is to contain Gaza, basically to implement this naval and ground blockade of Gaza that has been in place since 2007. The idea, with its flawed assumptions, was by containing it, it stays weak and won't be able to affect the security of Israel. Egypt actually shared that same assessment. Hamas is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. It's important to keep in mind that for the Egyptian government at the time, the government of Hosni Mubarak, as well as the government of today, of Marshal Sisi, the Muslim Brotherhood is considered an enemy of the state, an organization that threatens the stability of the Egyptian regime. The reason why Egypt is very reluctant to allow Gazan populations to enter Egypt, first about the humanitarian burden that it would create for Egypt. The Egyptians consider that if they suddenly have a flow of, let's say, 1 million Palestinians, they have no guarantees that the international community would provide financial and logistical support to the Egyptian government. So there's this humanitarian concern. There is definitely a security concern because they would fear that if you have that flow of refugees, how do you make sure that there is no security threat given the fact that the Egyptian government considers that the Muslim Brotherhood is a threat? And finally, for Egypt and for a lot of Arab countries, there's also a political consideration. There is the concern that if you allow this flow of refugees to go to Egypt, this changes facts on the ground. And it doesn't guarantee that those people will be allowed to come back eventually. So there is the concern that this could be the sequel, if I can use that expression, of what happened in 1948 when you had a massive displacement of Palestinian population that never came back, and that created the refugee crisis until today. So this mix of humanitarian concerns, security concerns, and political concerns explains why it has been a very delicate situation for the Egyptian government to accept the evacuation of the Palestinians from Gaza.